One of you guys asked me the other day in an email about water discount. Can I talk about, see, still touching my face. Can I talk about water discount? Sure, let's talk about water discount. Hey guys, John Conley here, UncleJohnSoap.com. I have no idea how loud I am right now. I've got this little directional mic. We'll see how well it works. I'm outside on my screen porch. Can you tell we've always got little kids around? Crayon on the wall. But me and Sonny here, we're going to explain water discount today. One of you guys emailed me the other day and asked about water discounting. It isn't super complicated, but it's not super simple either. But first, we're going to have a sip of a chilled beverage. I don't use ice, but it is cold. Virgin, unfortunately, because, well, I ran out of bourbon. Anyway, water discount in its simplest form is using less water than the recipe calls for. Easy, right? Video's over. Well, it goes a little deeper than that. Not a ton, though. The average water to lye ratio is 1 part lye to 2.4 or 2.5 parts water. And that's, you know, you got to have the water to dissolve the lye and act as a carrier while you're emulsifying with your oils and your soap so that it's suspended and has a chance to start saponification and then do its trick and turn into soap. And you know, you hear people talking about water discounts all the time. They can be good, but they can also be detrimental. And here's what it all boils down to. You're going to have to experiment. Everybody's recipes are a little different. Everybody's water is a little different. Everybody uses slightly different amounts of different oils. I mean, there's so many differences that really what it all boils down to is you're going to have to figure out what works best for you. I would recommend for beginners, use the full water amount that it tells you to in your recipe. It's the safest way to go. Now, with that being said, you're also more liable to get ashing on the top of your soap, which for me is no big deal. In my world, and you know, call me redneck, whatever, I don't care. In my world, it's part of the charm of handmade soap. Handmade soap, every batch, every bar is going to be a little different and have its own personality. Now, I'm also not one of those people who gets into a ton of different colors and swirls and decorative tops and piping. That's just not me. I'm more on the practical realm. They were quiet all morning. I don't want to say I make them uglier, although some people might consider them uglier. But what I do is I make them simpler, which allows me to make them a little bit cheaper, which allows me to sell more on average. But I want, at the end of the day, I want people to use them. I don't want these to be counter decorations for when your in-laws come over and, you know, your grandma had all those little round soaps in a dish and nobody ever touched them because they were purely for decoration and maybe to add a little scent to your powder room. That's not what I make. I make, you know, good old-fashioned lye soap that you should use. Bathe, wash your hands, face, hair, beard, all that. And it works, and that's the main thing. I will color code some stuff, and I do like to do occasional swirls, but nothing crazy. You know, I'm not looking for the same exact pattern each time, you know. I don't want to make a beach scene in my soap, and that's great for you guys to do that. Don't get me wrong. I'm not pounding on you guys. I'm talking about me. A, I'm lazy. B, I need to move product. You know, the first rule of business for me, actually the first rule of business, period, is to make a profit. Well, if I can't make a profit, then, okay, this is no longer fun as a business or a hobby because I'm working and just sitting on, you know, 3 tons of soap. If it doesn't sell, now I got to go get another job. Now that's time that I can't be making soap and I only get to make like a batch a month for me and my family. So, you know, there's got to be a balance for me. I digress. So anyway, water discount. So basically, if you're new, keep it simple. Stay with what the recipe says. It might create more chances for soda ash on top of your soap, you know, the part that's showing outside the mold. It may create more glycerin rivers. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that, where when you look at the soap, it's got these little, like, clear veins running throughout the soap. Those are glycerin rivers. So eventually, when you learn your recipe and your base and how that fragrance acts, now that's another thing. fragrances. We all know that certain fragrances can be a real pain to work with, and you have to watch temperatures with certain fragrances. Well, the same thing goes for water discounts and water amounts. If you take too much water away, it affects the temperatures, and it also makes it less fluid sooner, like it's supposed to trace sooner. And for the most part, mine do. I don't go super deep on my water discounts. You know, I try to find a happy medium, but certain fragrances, I gotta up my water to keep it fluid longer so that the fragrances cooperate a little bit better. It doesn't always work, but it gives me a fighting chance to at least get it in the mold without, you know, soap on a stick. When you start getting more comfortable with your recipe, and I would say when you're brand new, don't try any more than like 2 recipes. Try 2 very basic recipes and alternate and get really good at making those. And then as you go, you know, in a month, 2 months, or 5 batches, 10 batches, whatever. Everybody's different. I mean, I'm one of those hold my beer kind of guys, and I jump right in. People tell me I can't do something, and I say, okay, well, I'm going to do it anyway. And you might be that person too. But you got to realize that having that mindset, you're also going to waste some material sometimes. You're going to have some batches of soap that you couldn't even consider rebatching. In the dumpster they go. So basically, once you get comfortable with your recipes, try taking 10% of your water amount away. So if you have 16 ounces of water is what your recipe calls for, and I'm sorry for you metric folks, you're gonna have to Google it. I'm not even in front of my laptop right now, and I'm lazy. So if you have 16 ounces of water in your recipe and you take 10% away, that's 1.6 ounces less water that you're going to use mixing your lye for that soap batch. Does that make sense? I know some people get really confused. So there's a couple benefits to, I've named a couple, let's go through the rest of the cons. It can accelerate trace, taking too much water away. And sometimes that's what you want, sometimes that's not. For me, I want it to accelerate trace a little bit. If you're into swirls and certain things like that, you know, color swirls, you know, the decorative tops, the textures that people do, piping. I don't know how it works with piping. I've never done piping. I don't bake, so for me that piping bag will never show up in my workshop because I'm lazy. But it makes that, you know, faster trace makes that more difficult basically. And then the same thing, like I said, about fragrance oils. It's going to make it more difficult to work with certain fragrance oils. And you'll know which ones those are purely by, well, no, okay. There's a couple ways you'll know. One, you'll know when you do it yourself and things go haywire and you're panicking, running around your soap kitchen. And the other one is wherever you get your fragrance oils and essential oils, look at the reviews. The reviews will tell you a lot about a product. Now, you're always going to have that outlier, that one person who says, oh, this doesn't work. Well, it's because they're not following anybody's directions. They think they know better. You know, if I tell you to take, you know, this much olive oil, this much lye, this much water, mix the water and lye, wait 10 minutes and mix the olive oil together, they'll throw the lye and the oil, the water out the window, and then try to mix and say, I don't understand. Well, yeah, it's because you don't follow directions. I've also read that soaping with lower water content requires you to soap at a higher temperature so that your soap will go through gel phase if you want it to. I haven't found that to be the case. Now, I tend to soap a little hot because I'm impatient. If you watch some of my other videos, you'll see when I mix lye, my only gauge, I almost never pull out a thermometer. My only 2 gauges actually. One is feel. I'm in those plastic containers, so I can sort of feel the heat transfer through the plastic container. And if it's scalding through the plastic, I'll know it. But most of the time it's not, because I'm giving it enough time for the solution to go clear. When you first, you know, mix your lye up, and this is another reason I like clear containers, you can see that it's all cloudy. Well, when it gets almost all the way clear, it doesn't have to be 100% clear. I mean, if I leave it till the next day, it's going to be perfectly clear. Of course, then it's cold lye, so then I have to adjust my oil temps accordingly. Don't worry about staying within 10 degrees and all that stuff. Just get in the ballpark. But I usually go a little hotter anyway because I'm ready to roll, just ready to go, man. I melt my solid oils. I add my room temperature olive oil or canola oil or whatever liquid oils to the batch. Then I add my lye water and off to the races. Now, some of the pluses, hold on. Now, some of the pluses to doing a water discount, One, you can get it in the mold faster in most cases. Two, you can get it out of the mold faster in most cases. There are also other things you can do, adding salt, making a salt solution for your lye water will help harden your bars over the long haul and in the short term. Sodium lactate does the same thing. I like sodium lactate because it's already in solution form. I don't have to worry about, measuring salt and all that. I just measure my sodium lactate out of the jug, boom, gone. But anyway, Water Discount helps with that too. Helps it come out of the mold a little sooner. Now, here's where we get controversial. I am not, and I've seen science articles from both directions, so don't tell me it's science and it's only one way, because that's a lie. I have seen scientific articles come from both directions, both camps, where some of you are going to get pissed. I don't believe in the 4 to 6 week curing time for the crystallization thing. Okay. Do I think the molecules change some? Sure. You know what? They change with evaporation too. And that's where I think it's not so much a chemical thing after that first 24 to 48 hours. It's more of an evaporation thing. I still base all of my theories around evaporation. So if you're using less water, there's less to evaporate out. Does that mean you don't need any cure? It's safe to use after a day or two. Plenty safe. It's not going to be harsh on the skin like everybody says. I've noticed zero difference. Now, the only thing I will say is, what I've noticed is it tends to be a little tackier on the skin. Like if you take that soap bar on your wet skin and try to slide it, the fresher bar is going to drag a little bit more. There is a school of thought that says if you use a steep water discount, that you cut your 4 to 6 week cure time down. Do I think it improves a soap to cure more than a week? Sure. Do I believe in the same thing everybody else believes in with the, crystallization and all that? Not so much. For me, it's mostly about losing the water weight. So it is what it is. Take it for what it's worth. Dumb old fat retired carpenter's now soap maker. It is what it is. But no matter what, you'll know what's good for you and your customers if you sell, when you've gotten to a point where you have practiced and you have your recipe. And everybody has their one favorite or their one main base that they use, and that's your go-to. And once you get super comfortable with that, you'll know. Not a big deal. I know I've rambled on a lot here, guys, and I'm going to try to cut some of this out. Like I said before, one of the pros to water discounting is helping to prevent soda ash and glycerin rivers. I know people really freak out about them. Honestly, in certain instances, the glycerin rivers look great. I like the way they look in certain soaps because they look like that old porcelain teacup or china that has that crazed look to it, that vintage look. And in the right soap, it looks awesome. Some of it looks like crap. In mine, it's sort of in between. Alright guys, beat me up in the comments down below, or if you have any other questions, leave them in the comments down below, and I try to answer all you guys. Or at least give you a thumbs up if it doesn't require a real answer. Some days I just can't get to them. Between this channel, our other channel, and the soap shop is still running. If you need soap, and you're not a soap maker, but you like watching me jabber on about stuff, hey, head on over to the website and pick up some soap. We're making soap every other day now. We used to make soap almost every day. Now we're doing it almost every other day. Trying to cut down on gas while everybody's stuck at home and things like that. And exposure, if I only have to go out every other day as opposed to every day, it does help cut back on that. So, less trips to the gas station, less trips to the grocery store, whatever. Stay safe. Enjoy your soaping. Leave me your questions and comments down below. And your different opinions, too. That's always welcome. I'm not opposed to different opinions. Just don't be a jerk about it. Yeah, I need to do another one of those videos soon, too, don't I? Alright, guys. See ya.